Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, yet life still feels out of sync? You follow the rules. You check every box. You wake up early, work hard, hustle harder, but somehow the success, love, and peace you crave keep slipping through your fingers. It's like life is moving, but without you. As if something or someone forgot to let you in on the secret. The truth? You weren't left behind. You were simply never taught the real game being played. There's a hidden current beneath the surface of everything you've been taught. A deeper rhythm, a quiet pulse of the universe. It doesn't speak in logic or force. It speaks in frequency, in presence, in alignment. Most people spend their entire lives trying to control the waves, forcing outcomes, chasing timelines, fearing the silence. But the ones who truly bend reality, they don't fight the ocean. They become the tide. This isn't about pretending to be positive. This is about remembering who you are beneath all the noise, beneath the conditioning, the failures, the expectations, the fear. There is a version of you that already knows how to flow with life and manifest with clarity. And it begins, not with more action, but with a shift. A shift from striving to surrender, from panic to presence, from forcing to trusting. This video is not a step-by-step manual. It's an awakening, a story layered in metaphor, memory, and meaning, to help you feel what you've forgotten. You don't need to chase the life you want. You are the field in which it grows. In the next chapters, we'll walk through the forgotten principles of reality creation. You'll hear stories that sound ancient, yet eerily familiar. You'll be invited, not pushed, to see your life through a new lens. We'll talk about the law of vibration, the art of letting go, the quiet mastery of the Stoics, and the wisdom buried in silence. But above all, we'll remember this. The universe does not respond to who you pretend to be. It responds to who you are, beneath the fear. So take a breath. You don't need to figure everything out today. You just need to remember. Let's begin. From the moment you were born, you were placed into motion. Systems, expectations, family patterns, school curriculums, silent cultural contracts. No one handed you a manual. No one told you, hey, life is a game. Here are the rules. Here's how to play with grace. You were thrown into it, blindfolded, and told to run. And yet, deep inside, you've always known something wasn't quite right. Maybe you felt like everyone else got a head start, or that the universe speaks a language you were never taught. You watch others manifest success, relationships, peace. Meanwhile, you're stuck decoding signs that never made sense. Here's the truth they don't teach in school. Life is a game, but it's not played outside of you. It's played from within. The real board? Your beliefs, your thoughts, your emotional frequency, the real moves, not your hustle, but your alignment, not your effort, but your vibration. You're not losing because you're incapable. You're losing because you're unconsciously playing someone else's version of the game, one written by fear, survival, and scarcity. But once you realize the game is rigged in your favor, when you align, everything shifts. Let's bring it into modern life. Think about Maya. She's in her 30s. She checks all the boxes: career, health, productivity hacks. Her life looks on track. But inside, she's deeply tired. Things feel harder than they should be. She micromanages outcomes, overthinks every decision, and feels like life is always slightly out of reach. Then she takes a silent retreat. Just 3 days. No phone, no news, just her breath and nature. On day 2, something cracks. She realizes she's been playing a game she didn't create, chasing metrics she doesn't care about, fighting battles that were never hers. That stillness? It showed her the real playing field and inside. She doesn't quit her job, she doesn't run off to Bali, but she begins to change the rules, her rules, and life starts flowing. Did you know? In 1990, researchers studying Tibetan monks discovered that those who meditated deeply were able to control their body temperature and heart rate, not because they had some magic power, but because they had trained their internal state to override external chaos. Your inner world literally changes your outer reality. It's not a metaphor, it's physiology. So here's the shift. Most people say, when life gets better, I'll feel better. But those who bend reality know, when I feel better, when I align, life gets better. Your frequency is the joystick. Your emotion is the controller. And your awareness? That's the map. But you must be willing to step back from the noise and ask, what game have I been playing? And who wrote these rules? Because maybe, just maybe, the only thing standing between you and a life that flows is your willingness to put the old rule book down. Let's get something straight. The law of attraction is not a wish-making machine. It's not a cosmic genie. It's not about scripting 5 affirmations a day and hoping the universe drops a Ferrari in your driveway. It's physics. It's vibration. It's resonance. And, like all natural laws, it works perfectly, regardless of whether you understand it or not. Think of a radio. You can't hear 101.7 FM if your dial is stuck at 88.3. No matter how much you want the other station, unless you tune in, you'll never receive it. This is how the law of attraction operates. The universe doesn't respond to your wants. It responds to your signal. That signal is the sum of your emotional state, your beliefs, your expectations. It's not about what you say you want. It's about what you expect deep down. Take David, for example. He says he wants love. He journals about it. He meditates on it. But every time he's alone, a deeper voice whispers, maybe I'm not worthy. Maybe I'm too much. Maybe they always leave. That's the true signal. Not the words, not the vision board, the frequency of fear, of rejection, of lack. And guess what the universe mirrors back? More loneliness, more rejection, more almosts but not quites. It's not punishment, it's precision. The universe isn't moral, it's magnetic. Here's something few people know. In quantum physics, there's a concept called observer effect. Particles behave differently when observed. Why? Because the intention and expectation of the observer actually influences the outcome. In other words, consciousness shapes reality, not the other way around. This isn't just spiritual fluff. It's science catching up to what mystics have always known. So how do you shift your frequency? Not by forcing happy thoughts. That's spiritual bypassing. You shift by becoming radically honest about your current signal, then consciously adjusting your inner state to match what you want to experience. This is where most people miss it. They want abundance, but vibrate in scarcity. They want love, but vibrate in self-protection. They want peace, but vibrate in panic. It's like ordering from a menu, but never handing it to the waiter. Or worse, giving him a completely different order and wondering why your meal's wrong. Let's reframe it. Your emotions aren't good or bad. They're feedback. They're telling you exactly where you are and what you're aligned with. Feel jealous? That's not shameful. It's a sign you've disconnected from your own sense of enoughness. Feel anxious? That's not failure. It's your inner compass alerting you. You're out of flow. Feel inspired? That's alignment. That's the universe whispering, you're close. Every feeling is a frequency. Every frequency is a clue. So instead of trying to think positive, try this. Pause, breathe, scan your body. What are you really vibrating with today? And then choose a micro shift, not a grand leap, just a shift. It could be turning off the news and walking barefoot on grass. It could be saying, I'm safe right now instead of, what if everything collapses? It could be one breath, just one, that says, I'm still here, I'm okay. These small inner shifts change your trajectory. Why? Because the law of attraction is like gravity. It doesn't care how dramatic your leap is. It responds to consistency, to the field you live in, not the highlight reel you post. So today, I ask you, what are you aligned with? Not in theory, but in vibration. Because when your being matches your desire, you won't have to chase anymore. You'll just receive. There's something strange about letting go. It feels dangerous. Like if you stop holding on, everything will collapse. The relationship will fade. The opportunity will vanish. The progress will slip away. So we grip tighter. We overthink. We micromanage. We script our future, chase the how, check the clock, and refresh the outcome. But here's the paradox. The more you try to force reality, the more it resists. And the moment you release, things begin to move. Why? Because obsession is fear dressed as discipline. Control is your ego trying to play God. But the universe doesn't respond to force. It responds to flow. Let's make this real. Sammy had a dream, to become a published author. She outlined her book 10 times. She studied the algorithm. She crafted pitches. She manifested daily, but with a sense of frantic urgency. If it doesn't happen now, maybe I'm not meant for it. Nothing worked. One day, in frustration, she let it all go. Not out of defeat, but exhaustion. She put her ideas in a drawer. She focused on healing, on reading again, on long walks and deeper sleep. She stopped chasing the dream and started tending to herself. 3 months later, a stranger found her blog post from years ago. A publisher. The rest unfolded on its own. Because when you truly let go, not with bitterness but with trust, your energy becomes magnetic. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means you stop blocking what wants to find you. Few people realize this. In ancient Stoic philosophy, one of the core practices was the art of amor fati, to love one's fate, not tolerate it, not endure it, but to trust that even what seems wrong is part of the greater unfolding. Letting go isn't weakness. It's a deep inner knowing that says, I've done my part. Now I surrender the rest. The law of attraction is not just about energy. It's also about space. Imagine your manifestations like birds. If your hands are clenched, holding fear, timelines, and tight expectations, there's nowhere for them to land. But when you open your palms, when you breathe and release, you become the field where life can bloom. So what does real letting go feel like? It feels like unclenching your jaw, like removing the deadline from your dream, like trusting that you are enough, even before it arrives. It feels like looking at life and saying, I trust you, even if I don't understand you. Modern culture glorifies grind and control. We're taught that the more you manage, the more you win. But mastery, real mastery, is learning to know when enough is enough, to sense when it's time to act, and when it's time to step back. This is the subtle power of letting go. It doesn't scream, it doesn't demand, it listens, and then allows. If you're tired right now, not just physically, but spiritually. Maybe it's not because you're lazy. Maybe it's because you're trying to hold what was meant to flow. Maybe you're holding the door shut, thinking you're protecting something, but behind it is everything you've been asking for. Letting go isn't a step backward, it's an act of realignment. It says, I'm done chasing. I'm ready to receive. It says, my worth isn't tied to how fast things happen. I choose trust over tension. I allow the universe to surprise me. So tonight before you sleep, ask yourself, what am I gripping so tightly that it no longer feels alive? And who would I be if I let it go? It's early morning. You sit still. You breathe. No affirmations, no mantras, no wish lists, just being. In that stillness, a soft realization arrives. Your entire life is not built on your words. It's built on your frequency. Because the universe is not logical, it's vibrational. You can say, I'm ready for love 1,000 times, but if your energy says, I'm still guarded, afraid, and stuck in old heartbreak, then the universe listens to that. You can write, I deserve abundance in your journal every day. But if your nervous system is screaming survival, worry, and lack, then that is the signal that gets transmitted. Words are the smoke. Vibration is the fire. And your true broadcast is unspoken. Think of it like this. If your favorite song played through a broken speaker, the lyrics stay the same, but the sound is distorted. Your desires are the lyrics, but your energy, your beliefs, your self-worth, your expectations, that's the speaker. And the universe always hears how you feel, not just what you say. Let me tell you a story. Jordan was a meditation teacher, calm, grounded, loved by many. But inside, he felt like a fraud. He spoke of peace but lived with inner chaos, taught about alignment but hadn't spoken to his estranged father in 7 years. One day, in a quiet moment alone, he asked not, what do I want, but what am I really broadcasting? The answer shook him. He realized he had been asking for clarity, but vibrating in confusion, asking for abundance, but vibrating in resentment, asking for love, but vibrating in self-judgment. So he stopped trying to manifest and started to heal the signal. He forgave, he wrote letters, he softened, he slowed down, he rebuilt the speaker. And then life shifted, without trying. Because when the vibration is clean, the transmission is clear. Here's something most people never realize. Vibration isn't a mood. It's a moment-to-moment commitment to inner truth. When you stop performing, stop pretending, stop proving, you drop into your authentic field. And the universe, like a tuning fork, matches it. That's why your biggest breakthroughs never come when you're begging for them. They arrive when you're in alignment, sometimes even when you've stopped asking. Not because you gave up, but because you finally believed you didn't have to chase it. Stoic wisdom knew this long before law of attraction was branded. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." But he didn't mean thoughts as words. He meant your state of being. What you dwell in expands. What you quietly accept as real becomes your default. So, what are you vibrating between the words? Now take this into your day. Walk like someone who trusts life. Speak like someone who doesn't need to convince anyone. Breathe like someone who is already whole. Let your energy precede your desires. Let your stillness be louder than your stories. And remember, the universe doesn't understand doubt, panic, or strategy. It only speaks alignment. So speak its language. even in silence. We live in a world addicted to speed, faster results, instant feedback, overnight success, and somewhere along the way we've learned this toxic belief. If I don't see results, it means I'm doing something wrong. But what if that wasn't true? What if, like a seed beneath the soil, your growth is unfolding? Quietly, invisibly, powerfully. Let me tell you the story of the Moso bamboo, a species native to Asia. When you plant its seed, you water it, you nurture it, you wait. 1 year goes by, nothing. 2 years, still nothing. 3 years, 4, still barren soil. Most people would walk away, but those who stay, they know the secret. Because in the 5th year, something miraculous happens. The bamboo grows. Over 80 feet in 6 weeks. 80 feet, after years of nothing. But did it really grow in 6 weeks? It grew every single day, underground, building the roots to support something extraordinary. Now imagine this, a young man named Liam spends 7 years developing a project he believes in. No applause, no funding, no validation. Friends lose faith. Family pressures him to stop. But he keeps going. Why? Because something in him whispers, I'm building something that isn't ready to be seen yet. In year 7, a video of his project goes viral. His work gets noticed. Investors arrive. The same people who doubted now call it a sudden success. But Liam knows the truth. It was 7 years of invisible roots. Modern neuroscience supports this. Studies show that consistent effort over time strengthens the brain's reward system, increasing belief and resilience, even in the absence of visible results. In other words, the act of trusting builds the brain to trust. The Stoics had their own version of this truth. Epictetus said, "Do your part. The rest is not in your control. You don't have to know when. You just have to believe in what, and keep showing up." Let's not forget the story of the potter, a young artisan in a quiet village. He spent years molding clay that never met his own vision. The pieces cracked, the colors faded. Still, he continued. 10 years passed. Then one day, as if by magic, his hands moved as if guided by something greater, and from the wheel emerged a vase so exquisite, it moved people to tears. What they saw as talent was really 10,000 quiet hours of unseen practice. A lesser-known insight. In Japan, there's a philosophy called Shingi-tai, which balances 3 pillars of mastery: technique, GI, mindset, Shin, and embodiment, Tai. Without patience, none of these can root. And without roots, there can be no growth. Here's your practice. Each morning, write this affirmation. I allow things to unfold in divine timing. Not mine. And when doubt creeps in, ask, is this a moment for more action or more trust? Because sometimes the most productive thing you can do is to water your dream like it's already growing and stay long enough to see the shoot break through the soil. Your moment is coming. Even if no one else sees it yet, stay. The roots are already deeper than you think. There's a moment in every life when we feel like we're swimming upstream. No matter how hard we try, things fall apart. The plan crumbles. The timing fails. We push and push, only to be pushed back harder. You've been there. Maybe you're there right now. But what if the resistance isn't a block? What if it's a blessing? Let's begin with a story. There was a young woman named Kaya who dreamed of becoming a dancer. She trained hard every day, perfecting every move, but every audition ended in rejection. Injuries slowed her. Critics discouraged her. The harder she tried, the more the universe seemed to say no. Frustrated and heartbroken, Kaya traveled to India to escape. There, she found herself in a small village where dance was not performance, but prayer. Movements weren't rehearsed. They flowed from emotion, from silence. One evening, during a monsoon, a village elder asked Kaya to join a dance beside the river. There was no choreography, just drums, just breathe, just presence. And in that moment, something inside her released. For the first time, she danced, not to win, not to prove, but to feel. She stopped fighting the current. She began to flow. Here's the principle most people miss. Not all resistance is meant to be broken through. Some is meant to be listened to, respected, interpreted. Like a river that meets a boulder, flow doesn't fight. It adapts. It curves. It listens. In manifestation, when you hit resistance, it doesn't mean your desire is wrong. It means your approach might be. You might be trying to control what was meant to unfold. In Stoic terms, resistance is feedback. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." But only when you stop fighting. There's a power in letting go of force and embracing alignment. Here's something few people realize. Water can cut through stone, not through force, but through time, patience, and flow. In Japan, there's a natural phenomenon called tatami-ishi, hexagonal rock formations shaped over centuries by the rhythmic flow of waves. Nature creating art, not through power, but through persistence in harmony. This is how the universe works. Quietly, relentlessly, through alignment. You're not meant to force your path. You're meant to find the current that's already flowing in your favor. So ask yourself, what are you forcing today? What are you gripping too tightly? Where are you trying to rush what's meant to ripen? If you stopped resisting, what might open? Let go. Just a little. Listen. Just a little. Because sometimes the most powerful move is not a step forward, it's a surrender into the stream that's been waiting for you all along. The clock ticks, the calendar flips, and somewhere deep inside, the whisper starts. I should be further by now. I'm behind. Everyone else has figured it out. We scroll and compare. We count the milestones we missed, the job we didn't get, the relationship that didn't work, the version of life we thought we'd be living by now. But what if that whisper is wrong? What if you're not behind, just not aligned with someone else's timeline? Let me tell you a truth that very few people admit. There is no universal timeline. There is no fixed pace. Life isn't a race. It's a rhythm. Your soul didn't come here to win the speed game. It came here to evolve. And evolution doesn't happen on a clock. It happens through presence, awareness, and growth. Here's the story of Aaron, a man who didn't publish his first book until he was 54. He spent years working jobs that didn't fulfill him. Others called it a waste. He called it gathering. Gathering experience, emotion, texture, perspective. And when he finally wrote, his words carried the weight of a lifetime. That book went on to change lives, not because it was trendy, but because it was true. He wasn't late. He was exactly on time for the message that was meant to move through him. Consider this. Nature never rushes. The cherry blossoms don't bloom in January. The ocean tides don't crash on command. The moon doesn't apologize for being half full. And yet, everything is always in motion. Everything arrives when it's meant to. So why are you judging your becoming by someone else's arrival? The Stoics remind us, don't waste time chasing others' applause. Let your own soul be enough. Comparison is a thief, not just of joy, but of timing. The more you watch other people's seasons, the more disconnected you become from your own. You forget that slow growth is still growth. That detours are sometimes the real destination. That late is just a story the mind tells when it's scared of being different. Here's a secret few will say out loud. Most of the people you're comparing yourself to, they're also comparing themselves to someone else. No one really knows the right pace. They just know their own pressure. So give yourself permission to pause, to be where you are, fully, deeply, without shame. Because when you embrace your season, the universe stops resisting and begins responding. You are not behind. You are blooming, on your own time, in your own way, for reasons that may not be visible yet, but are no less divine. There's a quiet moment when something shifts. You stop asking, when will it come? And start asking, what am I aligned with right now? Because the truth is, you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are, and energy never lies. Let's talk about Lily. She used to chase love like it was a prize. She'd shape herself to fit others, dull her light to be more agreeable, play cool to avoid seeming desperate. But every relationship ended the same: exhaustion, imbalance, loneliness. One day, a mentor asked her, "Are you attracting love or bargaining for it?" That question shattered something. Lily stopped chasing and started shifting. She began speaking honestly, laughing louder, walking taller. She started honoring the parts of herself she used to edit. And that energy, that unapologetic self, became magnetic. The right people didn't need to be convinced. They simply showed up. Here's what most people miss. You are always manifesting. Even when you think you're stuck, you're sending a signal. And the universe, neutral, precise, and deeply responsive, doesn't give you what you beg for. It gives you what matches your baseline vibration. If your baseline is guilt, you'll manifest punishment. If your baseline is scarcity, you'll manifest more lack. If your baseline is calm confidence, abundance will flow toward you. That's why shifting your energy is more powerful than changing your strategy. From the Stoic perspective, this is called equanimity, a state of inner balance so steady the outside world can't shake it. Seneca once wrote, "A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be." But he didn't mean settling. He meant radiating a trust so deep that even chaos couldn't unseat it. There's a scientific mirror to this, too. Your electromagnetic field extends several feet beyond your body. When you feel shame or fear, it shrinks. When you feel peace, gratitude, or joy, it expands. In a very real sense, your vibe walks into the room before you do. And that's what people and the universe respond to. Here's the invitation. Stop managing outcomes. Start mastering states. Wake up and ask, what's my frequency today? Not, what can I get? But, what do I want to be? Be the peace you keep seeking. Be the love you keep asking for. Be the stability you think will come after success. Because that's how the magnet turns on. And remember this, when you're in alignment, you don't need to chase. Your field does the calling for you. There's a strange moment that visits every seeker. It comes quietly, like fog rolling over a valley. After all the books have been read, after the affirmations have been spoken, the meditations practiced, the goals written and visualized, a stillness appears. It is not a lack of motivation. It is not depression. It is something deeper. A question. Is this all there is? You've aligned, you've manifested, you've surrendered, you've become disciplined. But now, you find yourself on a quiet summit, gazing at the horizon and wondering, what's next? This is the moment where the finite game ends and the infinite game begins. You see, everything you've done until now has led you to this realization that the real work is not about arriving at a single destination, but about awakening into a new way of being, a way that never stops evolving. Just like the elder in the parable, the one who had mastered the art of life only to realize mastery itself was not a final state, but a living rhythm, pulsing through each new day. This principle echoes in nature too. A flower doesn't bloom once. Trees don't stop growing after a single season. The ocean never says, "I have waved enough." The moon doesn't stop rising because it's already beautiful. The universe operates on expansion, and you are no different. When you reach one summit, another peak appears. When one lesson integrates, another one quietly surfaces. And so you begin to play life differently, not to win, not to get there, but to explore what's possible. Take, for example, the artist who has painted for 20 years. One day, she creates a piece so breathtaking it receives global acclaim. But instead of retiring with satisfaction, she returns to her easel the next morning, not to top her masterpiece, but to feel the brush in her hand again. She has discovered the joy isn't in the result. It's in the rhythm of creation. This shift is what transforms seekers into sages. They no longer pursue success to fill a void, but create from wholeness. They no longer use the law of attraction as a tool to fix their life, but as a mirror to express their being. They surrender not because they are tired, but because they are deeply connected. They practice presence not as an escape, but as a homecoming. Here's something most people never realize: the law of attraction, the Stoic teachings, the meditations. They were never meant to be formulas. They are invitations. They are bridges to the infinite. And the most beautiful part? The game continues. Every time you doubt yourself, the game invites you to trust again. Every time you fail, the game invites you to rise, but softer. Every time you feel empty, the game invites you to listen, not fill. This path is no longer about manifestation. It's about expression, no longer about becoming someone, but remembering who you've always been. And so, as you take your next step, I invite you to adopt one final practice, the practice of expanding vision. Set an intention, not for what you want to have, but for who you wish to become. Write it down, speak it aloud, then hold it like a candle in your heart, not as a demand from the universe, but as a dance with it. The path of mastery does not end in knowing everything. It begins when you realize you never needed to. And as the sun rises tomorrow, it will not ask if you have succeeded. It will simply ask, "Will you rise with me again?" That's the question this game asks, and only your soul can answer. A single day where you don't chase, don't force, don't rush. You wake up and simply respond to life as it unfolds. You breathe deeply, not to calm yourself, but because it feels good to be here. You stop trying to fix everything and start trusting that everything is already working with you. No proving, no performing, just presence. So the question remains, if you no longer had to become someone, who would you allow yourself to be? That's the real invitation of this journey. Not to win the game of life, but to feel it more deeply, to dance with it, lightly, to live it, awake. If this video stirred something inside you, leave one quiet sentence in the comments. The universe is always listening.